Johnny Walker defeats Anthony Smith. And I have to give Johnny Walker some credit because I did expect Anthony Smith to beat him. And my big reasoning was, you have a wild fighter who's unpredictable that can put you out at any point of the fight, that faced a veteran like Anthony Smith, who always brings the fight. And when you have a veteran like that, who is comfortable in the chaos, who can operate in the wild situations, versus a guy who does bring the chaos, versus a guy that is unpredictable and wild. If I take a look at history, time and time again, the veteran always wins. But one thing that I did not expect from Johnny Walker is to be none of those things. And I talked about the Yair fight versus the Max fight. The similarities of the veteran and the guy that brings the chaos. I also talked about Dustin Poirier and Michael Chandler, but the big difference is that Johnny Walker was none of these things. He was not wild, he was not chaotic, he wasn't unpredictable. I mean, he looked absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. Because there has been one problem in his career. And it is that he has been the wild guy that's going to bring the chaos. But then he fought a guy in Thiago Santos, a veteran that beat him. Then he fought Jamal Hill, then unfortunately, got knocked out by Jamal Hill. And there has been a reboot in his career. He has changed the style. He has moved differently, operated differently. He has removed the things that made him lose his fights. Because there was massive expectation for Johnny Walker. Everybody believed that he was this guy, he was the new Jon Jones. Until he wasn't. I believe he lost a decision, a split decision I believe. And then he lost to Jamal Hill via vicious knockout. He just had to find himself. Because when you receive a knockout like that, most fighters, not all of them, they look at their career and now they approach it differently. They change something in their psyche. They change their approach. And when that happened to Johnny Walker, that is what we saw. We saw a change in the mind. There was a change in his psyche, and it is so obvious. You immediately see it. A minute ago, they were a wild fighter, unpredictable, brings the chaos. Then they lose. The next minute, they have changed. You see it. When these fighters get tamed in the octagon, you see it. It is so obvious. When they change their style. And if you take a look at the times this has happened, the most famous one of this similar situation was with Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje, the wild fighter, brought the chaos, was unpredictable, was just wild, a wild fighter that can put you out in any point of the fight. Similar to who Johnny Walker was when he first started in the UFC. Was finishing guys, putting him out, high level guys as well. But then there was a change in Justin Gaethje's approach. And time again, it has always been the losses. Because things is just going easy for you, you're winning fights, you're making money, life is all good and well until you lose. And you realize there is something wrong, and most of the time, these fighters change. Not all the time, we have seen cases of that. But when these fighters changed, there has been one obvious factor. Their coaches. And it's not because of their coaches. It's not just because of their coaches. But you can see that when they change their coach, when they have a Hall of Fame coach, a brilliant coach who knows the game in and out, that is one big sign of that wild, unpredictable fighter brings the chaos that they have changed. And most of the time it's after a loss. That is the biggest sign. When they have a different coach. And we saw that. We saw that with Justin Gaethje when he had Trevor Whitman. And one big sign was that Johnny Walker now has John Kavanagh, Conor McGregor's coach, in his corner. You're looking at a guy who is the wild, unpredictable, chaotic fighter that has lost and rebounded, that has been revitalized. This is that renaissance in their career. And you see it time and time again. These fighters get tamed and they get better. He looked phenomenal in that Anthony Smith fight. He may not have gotten the finish, but what I saw from that is that he was able to stay composed and just win the fight. Just win the fight. He wasn't there to wow the people, to wow the boss, to wow anybody. I mean, it does certainly help you, but he wasn't there for that. He was there to win. And I believe that change in his psyche is the big difference now for Johnny Walker. And it is all because of those losses that forced these fighters like Justin Gaethje, now Johnny Walker, to change their approach. And now I'm looking at Johnny Walker, and I think his future is very bright. And I mean championships.